Lori tries to pass herself off as like Queen Republican.
And we did back a Democrat.
What we have
and she's
before.
A sheriff.
Well, and she's not the only one, but yeah.
But I'm just
But what
saying.
I'm saying is, I'm worried about everybody going back on their word.
Yeah. Hey, is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's bigger and stronger? That's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women, led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with the training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It is totally free. How do you sign up? You go to notmesd.org. All right, Michael, what do you got?
I got a story for you. We got to have a conversation about somebody.
Sure. Anybody I know?
I don't think you know her. You may have heard me. You may have heard me talk about it. I'm trying to think of. I've kind of mentioned this before, but I really wanted. We had a development. So Murietta, up in Riverside County.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was years ago, and we actually interviewed the folks that did this on the radio show years ago, like when we first started. It was really, really difficult, basically impossible to get a CCW in California. And Riverside's previous sheriff, their current sheriff is Chad Bianco. He's about as good as they get. I mean, he's just the guy walks on water, if you ask me. I really like him. Their previous sheriff was a guy named Sheriff Sniff, and he was bad news.
Right. Not so, yeah.
I didn't like him at all. He would issue if you were his buddy, good enough for me, but not for thee. And so he kind of quagmired the CCW system and really wasn't issuing. And I thought it was just an absolute travesty. And there were pro-gun groups that actually thought he was good, and I just thought it was an absolute travesty that he got any respect from pro-gun people at all. He was actually a legit gun guy, though, meaning that he would actually go to competitions and shoot.
Really?
But he wouldn't issue permits. He was kind of this elitist attitude.
Mm.
So what happened was a bunch of the cities in Riverside, like a handful of the cities in Riverside County, started issuing through their police chief. And not Permitium, but another online service helped them out. And it was kind of like a Hail Mary, like, look, we're trying everything we can do here. So one of the things that they did is they required a personality test. A legit, actual, I don't mean this is my interpretation. Mm-hmm. I mean that part of the name of this test was a personality test. And what it's supposed to be used for is like first responders, especially cops and firefighters, how they handle stress.
Right.
It's not intended to be used for CCW holders. That's not what it was designed to do. And there's no requirement that you have to have the same personality as a cop to defend your life. So, but okay, fine. If that's what we got to do to kind of, it was kind of a CYA for them, right? If that's what we got to do to get it one step further, fine. So we praised them. Hey, thank you, Murietta. Thank you, Banning. Thank you. Like I said, they're about half a dozen or so. Thank you for doing this. But then Sheriff Bianco got elected, and it was a whole new day. And he started issuing, and that whole backlog that Sheriff Sniff said he couldn't get around, miraculously, Bianco did. And he started issuing, passed the background check, whatever. It was beautiful. So then we said, hey, let's go back to some of these cities and bring them, into parity with the county so that you're not having to spend an additional $200 on a personality test.
$200.
$200. So it was an additional $200 to do this background check. Or it was not a background check.
No, personality check.
And I do want to emphasize, this thing doesn't tell you if you're insane. That's not what it does. It doesn't tell you, when you do the background check, that's when they look, hey, has this person ever been committed? That sort of thing. That's not what this does. So they call it a psych evaluation. It's not. It tests your personality.
Right.
And again, there's no requirement that you have the same personality as law enforcement.
What does personality have to do with gun ownership?
I agree. Nothing. But again, I remember we questioned them, in Murietta. We had some of the city council members, one of the city council members on Murietta years ago.
Yeah.
And we questioned him, like, hey,
I
and he kind of went, look, this is what I got to do to get this done. And we said, okay, if that's what you got to do to get it done, fine. But now that things have changed, let's just make it the same process as the county. And they don't require a personality test.
Right.
So there was, years ago, there was a guy named Jeff Stone who he was a supervisor up in Riverside. He ran for state senate. I was involved in his campaign. He didn't win. Actually, Joel Anderson won, which was fantastic. Joel Anderson was a fantastic state senator who's now a supervisor. But I did meet Jeff Stone's sister. Her name's Lori Stone. Lori Stone decided to run for Murietta, city council. Mm-hmm. And I thought, hey, that's great. She was wonderful with Jeff. Jeff was very pro 2A. This should be great. Reached out to her, reconnected. Pretty sure it was Inland Empire Gun Owners. I'm pretty sure Inland Empire Gun Owners endorsed her and talked to her about, this personality test problem. And she was extremely interested in helping. And she would, I'm pro 2A, and we're going to do this thing. And,
Wow.
So here's the first step we took was she said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a meeting, you and I and the police chief. I talked to the police chief, this guy named Tony, his name escapes me, Conrad? Anyway, so we had a meeting with the police chief, and it sounded like this was going to go really well because she said, hey, I talked to the police chief. It sounded like it was going to be kind of a, hey, I see what you're saying. Let's work through this. It sounded like it was going to be totally positive. It was totally going to go our way. So I go in and I meet this new police chief, and the first thing he says is, hey, we introduce each other, whatever, sit down. Hey, don't worry. We haven't used this test at all to deny somebody their CCW. I said, okay. Then why do we have the test? It sounds like it's just a $200 fee. If you guys aren't even using it to determine, and man, the look on his face, he is the least impressive bureaucrat I think I've ever met. And
you've met a lot.
And I've met a lot. And I proceeded to figuratively pull this police chief's pants down and spank his butt in front of everybody because he was that ridiculously incompetent and had no idea what he was talking about.
Really?
And I said, look, this is a personality test. You guys are charging $200. You're not even using it to make a decision. Just get rid of the test and stop charging people, stop bilking people for $200. He said, well, look, I'd argue with you that it's a personality test, and he kind of had this condescending, pat me on the head, look, son. And I said, okay, it's in the title. Personality is actually in the title of the test. And he started getting so mad. So basically professionally humiliated this guy, not intentionally. He was just so bad and so, horribly informed. I mean, he had no idea what he was talking about. He had no idea what was going on. I honestly think he thought that, it was just, I don't know, some volunteer who just had a minor concern. I don't know. Wasn't prepared, didn't know what he was talking about, wasn't able to, didn't seem to understand the issue, but dug his heels in. So
you challenged him.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. You give somebody a tiny bit of power, especially the ill-informed and, vaguely incompetent, and what happens? It goes right to their head. So at the end of it, he did say, look, here's what I'll do. I'm going to a meeting, all the police chiefs, with the sheriff. It's, we do this every 2 months, whatever. I'm going to talk to the sheriff and see what he thinks. I said, oh, great. And we'll revisit this and we'll talk more about it. So a couple weeks later, happened to reach out to the sheriff and said, hey, that meeting you were at last week? Oh, yeah, it was a great meeting, whatever.
He didn't reach out to you?
I said, hey, did you talk to this police chief from Murietta, Conrad? Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's Conrad. I think it's Tony Conrad from Murietta, the police chief from Murietta.
By the way, our secretary just arrived.
our internet whiz.
Yeah, our
Alicia.
internet whiz, Alicia. She'll have this answer before we finish.
And I said, hey, did he talk to you about, the CCW process and how they, have this personality test or whatever? No, he didn't bring it up at all. Well, that's interesting. That's super interesting. So I went and spoke with Lori Stone, who was there. She set up the meeting, and she was there through the whole thing. And, she agreed that this guy was horrible, this police chief. And at the time, he was fairly new. Like, I don't even think he'd been there a full year. And she agreed that it was horrible. It was a horrible display, that he was really, really bad. And she said, okay, we need to start formulating some kind of plan. We need to get this in front of the city council. We need to figure this out, But, the thing is, you got to be able to count to three. In other words, there are almost always 5 people on the council, and you have to get 3 votes. You don't need 4, you don't need 5, but you got to be able to count to 3. So she said, I know one of the people will vote, and our way. I know he will, no problem. But I don't know if we can get a 3rd vote. And she said, you find me that 3rd vote, I'll introduce it, and boom, we'll have it. So what did I do? I went and got her a 3rd vote. And one of the other city councils was like, yeah, I'm a little concerned. I don't know much about the subject, in this day and age, in this environment, and in California, but I want to learn. I want you to, convince me, and let's really, really talk about this thing. And so I explained to her what we all know. You go, if you're getting a CCW, first off, you've already gotten a background check when you bought a gun. Okay. Second, you got to go through a background check that's even more thorough than the background check that you went through to buy a gun. They check everything. I mean, it's a very thorough background check. And I'll finish the story about Lori and everything, but I got her the 3rd vote. I got her the 3rd vote.
Hold that thought. Let's wait and see what happens, because this is just like a sitcom, folks.
It gets a lot more calm than sit.
Does
but yeah.
it really? All right. Hey, a lot of companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing. The design is excellent, the photos are beautiful, and the website looks great, but it's just not getting customers. Why? Because you don't have the words that make people buy. But now you can fix that with Sage Tree. Sage Tree can help you find the words that make it easy for your customers to understand what you do and how to buy from you. Stop wasting money today and schedule a call. Getting started is easy. Visit sagetree.com. Click on the Schedule an Appointment button at sagetree.com and hit that Schedule a Button call. All right, we got a great story.
So we're talking about CCWs and trying to get rid of the personality test in Murietta. And at this point, Lori Stone, one of the city council members, had asked me that she said, hey, I need you to get a 3rd vote, that she had 2 votes to get rid of these personality tests. So on Friday, May 20th, 2022 at 11:15 a.m., I sent her a text. You have the votes to remove the 100% personality test requirement for CCWs. The trick is not to ban it, but language that offers guidance, like it cannot exceed 10% of the applicants, et cetera, et cetera. Require a report from the police, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What's the next step? Well, she didn't text me. She called me and said, okay, we're in. Let's do this thing, And they were trying to figure out how exactly to word this. What language would it be in? Hey, if I can help, I know it's a little complicated creating a reg. Let's figure this out. Thank you. Very, very cool. And she liked it. She liked my little comment. And that was that. Well, time went on. This was July 22nd, 2022. It said, hey, I'm pinging you on the initiative to get rid of the personality test for CCW. And she said, if I bring it up, okay, so now her whole tone and everything has changed. If I bring it up, it will be after November 8th, the election. I said, okay, does that mean you aren't certain? She said, yes, only if I have the votes. And I said, you have them. I assure you that you have them because I helped her get them. She said, don't share that with me. I can talk to only one colleague. Well, she'd already talked to one because it's part of the Brown Act. She'd already talked to one colleague. She knew she had that person's vote, and I'd already assured her that she had one other vote. She was the one that told me, go to this person and see if you can get the vote. So I asked if we could schedule a call to discuss. This was July 25th, 2022. And she said she's getting ready for a city council meeting that has a big agenda. Blah, 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 blah. We eventually talk, and suddenly everything had changed. Oh, well, I've just been so busy. Okay, well, it doesn't take that much out. Like, what do I do to help? Oh, well, there's just so much else going on. Okay, well, the election. Okay, well, and I'm basically helping her through all her excuses. And then she finally goes, well, there's all these mass shootings that have happened. Okay, what are we saying here? What's going on? It sounds like you've completely changed your mind. Because she assured me, she said, hey, she was there in front of the police chief. We talked about it extensively after, she was all on board. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And now she won't do it because she's busy, because there's an election, because there's a full agenda, because there are mass shootings.
No, she's been gotten to.
I said, if anything, this can be and should be couched and phrased and positioned as something that will help stop mass shootings. Making sure that somebody can defend themselves when there's some kind of mass shooting. Well, no, she wouldn't talk to me about it. She wouldn't talk to me about it. Basically hung up on me, and that was that.
Really?
So
fast forward, and so we started talking about it. We said, hey, this guy, his name's Tony Conrad, right? Were you able to find him?
It is Tony, correct.
Tony Conrad, the police chief. We put it out there like, hey, the police chief is standing in the way of this. And, oh, by the way, Lori Stone said she was going to get rid of it. And now she's not going to get rid of it. She's got every excuse in the book.
Did that generate a response?
Well, not a little bit, a little bit. The police chief is an interesting mixture of, he's got absolutely nothing to be arrogant about and is extremely arrogant about it. And I'm like, what? You're the least impressive person I've ever met, but he's pretty, confident about his whatever.
Well, of course. So,
we started to touch on it, but then things flared up again a couple of weeks ago. She Desi actually went up to talk about our women's program, about Not Me. And apparently, she started talking to Desi about it. And Desi's like, I'm not involved in the politics. I run the women's program. Talk to Mike. I'm not involved in the political part. And so I sent that to Lori. I was like, look, she runs the women's program. Talk to somebody about politics. Talk to me, because it's a problem. Lori Lori Stone, the city council member from Murietta, is going around and pretending to be this red-blooded Republican conservative, and she won't support the Second Amendment. I mean, in word, right? Oh no, I'm pro Second Amendment.
Well, of course.
But when it comes time to actually do something about it, she wouldn't. She said that now, what she wants to do. Let's see. Let me look here. Now what she wants to do is she wants to debate. Now she's all in favor of this personality test, calling it a mental behavioral health a part of the CCW, and she wants to debate it. She thinks she's in the right. Now she's all for this ridiculous personality test. She said she's claiming she didn't lie, which she did. She said she was going to do something. She didn't do it. She's lying. She said that once elected, I did my due diligence, and I and council has zero authority to change the program. The chief is not our employee, and the city manager will not agree to my request, and I cannot get another council member to support this effort, as you've stated. If you're adamant about this issue, why haven't you come before our council? Again, game on. And I said, this isn't a game with me. It's people's rights. You told me you'd bring the resolution forward if I got the third vote. I got her to agree then you went back on your word. So at no time did she say, hey, you know what? I need you to come up and talk to the council. Hey, and, this third vote, how would she know I don't have this third vote if she's not allowed to talk to her? Right? It's just absolutely ridiculous. I'm not here to play games, Lori Stone. We're here to try to advance people's rights. We're here to stick to our word, and I have done that. So now she wants me to come up and talk about it at the council, which, by the way, the makeup of the council is now changed, and I think in her favor. I would think that the actual the people who got elected are more pro Second Amendment. The other thing is, you heard my text saying, hey, you can't just ban it. What you have to do is basically you have to do like this stick and carrot approach. You have to say, hey, look, we want to see a 5,000 word report on each, person that you require giving a personality test, because we want to see your reasoning as to why you gave them a personality. That's the kind of thing I stated. This is a little complicated, but it can be done. She's hiding behind semantics. She's hiding behind, a procedure that she clearly doesn't understand. By law, I can only talk to one council member, and I did, and got a no. I'm in City Hall getting ready for council. Our city attorney and our chief stated the NRA has backed off of the city of Murietta, by the way. They will not force this issue for your edification. Since I don't have a second to bring this forward, you may want to attend a city council meeting and request this be a future general. As far as I'm concerned, the ball is in your court. The ball has been in her court for over a year, and she did absolutely nothing. And she's completely, talking out of both sides of her mouth, completely butchered this whole situation. Come to a meeting and ask the mayor to agendize this. It's absolutely ridiculous that she has completely twisted and turned. She started with the pro-Second Amendment stance. She started basically saying, hey, I want to help. This is important to me. And for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe things got tough or whatever. She's now making up excuses. That first time she texted me, she didn't say, hey, you know what? We got to sit and talk because I got to tell you, I did some due diligence and I found out that, we can't do it or whatever. None of that happened. That wasn't her. She's completely lying. None of that happened. What she told me was, oh, I'm busy. Oh, the agenda's full. Oh, mass shootings. At one point, she said, I'm afraid that the police chief will quit if we do this. And I don't want that. Really? You're really afraid that the police chief will quit? And oh, by the way, Murietta would be a better place without this clown. So that's what we're dealing with. People ask me a lot about Democrats, Democrats can't trust them, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, what if we back a Democrat and they say they're going to do something, then they don't do it? Lori's a Republican. Lori tries to pass herself off as like Queen Republican.
And we did back a Democrat.
What we have
and
before.
She's a sheriff.
Well, and she's not the only one, but yeah.
But
what I'm saying is I'm worried about everybody going back on their word.
Yeah.
Well,
because they just tell you what you want to hear, they think.
Yeah, Lori can't be trusted. We don't have a candidate to run against her yet. But I think this is the type of situation where we need to find a candidate and knock her out, of office. I mean, using words like game on. I don't really want elected officials who are playing games with me. Yeah, this is a game that we have to.
See, they don't understand you take this dead serious.
It is serious. Yeah, I mean, it's a civil right.
But they don't get it.
I mean, she wants to debate me? Like, what debate? What's there to debate? A personality test for $200 shouldn't be necessary. One of the things we've done is we've really put the word out. Hey, look, if you're in Murietta, do not go to the police chief to get your CCW.
Oh yeah.
Don't spend the $200 on the personality test. Go to the county. Go through the sheriff. Because I think it's corrupt. It's an abuse of power. I have no idea. Where's this $200 going? Why is it so important for the police chief? Anyway. Day in the life of politics. Lori Stone, bad news. You can't trust Republicans just because they're Republicans.
Absolutely.
You can't trust politicians, period.
Period.
But Lori Stone, particularly bad news. She refuses to do anything to help after going back on her word and lying. And people need to know that.
Only way to fix it, vote, vote, vote.
There you go.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.